Nation, Guru Nation, Guru Nation, Guru Nation. Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Look, this is a very special interview. We have our sister site, Alliance, here in the, what do they call it, the Yuma El Centro greater area.
Imperial County.
We share the same news channel. We got Judy Galindo. Everybody knows her from SOS Conference, one of the co-founders from LICR, which is Latinos in Clinical Research, and from her site, okay, that she's been running for 15 years in the same place in El Centro, Sun Valley Research Center. And primary focus CNS, but they've started branching into other stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And one of her coordinators, Victor. Director. So like Katie over there, no? Like the lead,
Yeah.
like the lead.
Director / raider, because he's also a raider.
Okay,
Semi
okay.
Slash coordinator.
Slash
coordinator.
everything. Slash IMG.
Everything.
So he's a doctor. Gonna get matched soon, hopefully. God willing.
Hopefully.
Is it guaranteed you're matched or it's not guaranteed?
Oh, no. I still have to see like what happens March 11th. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted.
God willing, man. This
Thank
is
you.
wood, so knock on it. Victor, we're going to talk a lot about IMG, International Medical Graduates, how they can get started in research in the United States. Then we got Luis.
Hi, the
Reese.
CRC, yeah.
He's no stranger to the show. He's been on a few times. He's a brand new coordinator. He's our newest employee at Yuma Clinical Trials, going on 3 months. We
3
have
months.
to do your 3-month review soon.
Mhm.
Dora's going to email you.
And I'm excited too.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We got to figure out where we're going to eat. But Luis has been doing great. He's a biomedical engineer, trained from Mexico, but got it in the U.S. too.
Yeah.
Amazing. We get into that because this is why I made this connection, because I think there's a lot of commonalities. And maybe we start there because, Judy, I discovered IMG probably when I first started my site in 05. My first employee was my friend from college, from U of A. But the second one, like the serious one, was IMG from the Philippines. And then I loved it. Like, she was amazing. And then she brought 3 of her friends,
Oh, wow.
2 other IMGs from the Philippines, and her sister, who was not an IMG, but like a really good coordinator. So I learned early on as a site owner the value that the IMGs, which is International Medical Graduates for those that don't know, bring. And when did you start figuring that out?
I think I was more familiar with them as clinical research associates. So a lot of the ones we had that came to our site were from IMGs from other countries. I didn't have the experience of working with them until actually Victor came on board last year.
Is your first IMG?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the first IMG, actually a little bit before that, we had another one that was in
Yeah,
marketing.
because I met the other
outreach.
one, right?
I don't know if you met the other one, but we had another one in marketing
yes,
outreach. Yes, who was an IMG. And then working in Imperial County in
Yeah.
a different area. And then once he came on board, then we brought on another one as a coordinator. And then we have interns as well.
Well, you know, we never talk about this, but actually, your first IMG is Dr. Ng. He's like the OG IMG.
Yeah.
True.
Because
Yeah,
he trained
true,
in
true.
Mexico and did
Right,
also
right.
residency
Res-
like in
yeah.
the U.S.
But he's a PI, so.
Well, yeah,
that's
I
true.
mean,
My
yeah.
own dad was IMG. I mean, he's from Romania. Both my
Nice.
parents actually IMGs.
Okay.
My dad, he didn't get his license in the U.S. in psychiatry until I was junior in high school.
Oh, wow.
So prior to that, he was in residency at USC. Then he was working like physical therapist, Jenny Craig, nutrition, and all kinds of things. And my mom too, but my mom never got her U.S. license, but my dad did. And then that's kind of how I got started in research too, after he did. After I went to college and came back. So
Yeah.
technically my first IMG I worked with was my dad, but
That's
my
cool.
first real one was this lady from the Philippines.
That's very cool. No, it's a journey. I don't know how many years you mentioned that your dad.
My
Had-
dad did it like so we immigrated in 84. It wasn't until 97 that he got his
There you
That's
go.
a long time.
yeah.
No, it's a journey. It's hard at all levels. Like for example, when you start, like where do I start? And then once you start somewhere, it's how do I balance like my work, my family, and
Yeah.
doing like the whole thing to get licensed here.
I
like,
could not
so-
do what he did, and you did your ECFMG and all that stuff. Like
I got ECFMG certified last year, and I'm applying to the match.
they make those things hard.
It's the thing is that they have the USMLE, like the board, like the test, and then they also have like the occupational English test, the OET, and then once you complete 1 and 2 and the English test, now you can get certified. And then the last test, which is the step 3, you can do it either before or after, well, before or during residency. But the first one is quite a challenge.
So tell me this then, like when you were in Mexicali, because that's where you went to school and everything,
Yeah.
right? How did you did research there, but it's a little bit different than the research we do here. I mean, like you said before we recorded, Mexico's maybe like 10, 20 years behind most of the time. But how did you discover Judy, and how did that work?
So, to the first question about like research, in Mexico, yes, we do research, but clinical trials, like clinical trials, the industry that we know here, is not something that we do very often. Yes, some institutes we have, like in Mexico City. Yes, of course, we do have those. Some private practices may have some. Yes, of course, but in universities, we are more into the bench research or epidemiological.
That's what Luis did.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So we are familiar with that. But I remember that when I went to Houston and got my first interview, like for a job, they told me like, "Do you have any experience in research?" And I said, "Oh yes, yes, yes. I have done this and this and this." But do you have a GCP? No. Have you been part of a DOA? No. Have you been part of a 1572? No. Okay, then you don't have research experience. And I'm like,
Right.
that's sad. And that's the thing that you don't get trained on this and you don't know about this industry. You don't know. Like, for example, here in the US, you have a lot of TV commercials and stuff that talks about clinical research or medications. In Mexico, we don't even have that. So to know that you can get involved in that industry as easy as you can do it here, it's something that we are not trained on. And we
So
don't
you
know.
went from Mexicali to Houston?
Yes, so I did it depends on the school that you are in Mexico, but my program was 7 years. You do 5 years of med school, like going to a classroom, and you have some rotations here and there, but we call it clinics. But then 6th year for me, it's what they call the internado, which is the internship. There you go to a hospital, and throughout a year, you go through multiple specialties in 2-month periods. And then there's a 7th year, which is called the Servicio Social, which is the social service. And that program was built, like, I believe in the 70s. I don't remember the year, but it was done to give something back to the community. But then they later started to give opportunities for people to do things abroad. And I had the blessing that the Dean of Medicine at my school gave me the first opportunity to be the first in Baja to do it. Other states have done it before, but I was able to do it for the very first time in Baja. And I chose to do the 6th and 7th year in Houston.
Oh, so you can choose at that point.
Yes, so I was able to do some observerships. That's what we call it.
Okay.
So we pretty much just go see how it goes, different specialties. But I was lucky enough that my last rotation during my 6th year was in Hemong. So I was with a cancer doctor, amazing doctor,
Wow.
and he was the director of research. And he pretty much told me, what are you going to do for your 7th year, and what are you going to do once you get your license? And I told him my plans, and he said, okay, come with me. So I did my social service with him, but then COVID struck. And then I went back to Mexico, did my whole paperwork for my license. And then he told me, as soon as you have your license, like let me know, and we're going to hire you as a CRC. So I did that. And I processed the visa that we were talking about also earlier.
Yeah.
And I got my job in cancer in clinical
Wow.
research.
And then, but so that makes more sense. So was your specialty hematology oncology, or what was your specialty in Mexico?
No, in Mexico, you do something that is like general medicine.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
like broad term. And then you can do like a specialty if you wish.
Okay.
But I just have my license for like general medicine.
General med. Okay.
And then now I'm applying to the licensing thing here, and I have an interest towards internal medicine.
Okay.
So that's where I'm applying to this
It's
year.
my favorite because you can do the most studies.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of everything. So
Yeah.
That's
Right
really nice.
now, it's the obesity, GLP-1s.
exactly.
In a community like this, you can do a lot of osteoarthritis. You can even do Alzheimer's. Because especially you now that you're working with Judy,
experience, exactly.
you know, you've got it. So how did you find each other?
So going back to your story from Houston, how did you end up?
So
From Houston to El Centro is like, it's not really like on the map.
It's far away.
a little bit, yeah. No, so the thing is that my family is in Mexicali, which is like across the border.
Okay.
El Centro and Mexicali is like just 20 minutes away. And while I was in Houston, my wife and I got pregnant and we're gonna have a baby. And we decided to go back to California to be like close to the family, especially like during that first period of time. And I originally got a job at a hospital in a town nearby, and I was doing case management. But of course, I really missed research. And funny enough, I knew someone working at Sun Valley, and I told them, "Do you have any openings?" And they said, "I don't know, but send your CV." And I sent it like December,
Yeah.
and then like 2 months passed, and
So you knew somebody already working for
Yes.
Judy. Okay.
Yes, and I remember getting the CV, and I was like, "Oh, we're not hiring." I honestly did not even look at the.
We're
I'm
not
not gonna lie, because
No,
we
thank
were
you.
already fully staffed, so I wasn't thinking of bringing on anybody else. And so she kept reminding me, like, "Hey, look at the CV. I really think he could be a good asset to your
A
company."
good fit.
Yeah, and I think it was during the holidays, so it's like November, December, where you're just trying to get things, done and closed. I think after the holidays, I went back to the email and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, this guy has like a ton of background in
Yeah.
research. He's an IMG.
He already had a coordinator
Yeah,
experience.
exactly. So then I was like, okay, we need to get him interviewed, and then we got him scheduled and met with
Wow.
Dr. Ing, and I guess that's
And
how
get him a
yeah.
position.
Right.
Luis was also like I saw his resume. It was actually my wife.
Yeah, I always thought that was Dan. And in my first
No.
days of the interview was like,
Right.
Dan, I'm
She
so
sent
thankful
me
for you.
his, and I was like, "Well, we don't need someone right now." I was like, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, you gotta look like, he's got a bachelor's. Nobody else has one here. Well, Katie has one, but
Mhm.
it's unusual in Yuma
Right.
to have like that kind of education."
Exactly, and that's the same thing I said in Imperial County. You don't
Yeah.
find people with research background. So when I saw it, I was like, okay.
You know what? Interestingly enough, all right, it was either when we hired you or Grecia. There was an IMG that I interviewed here. You may even know him. I don't know. If you do, my bad. Okay. The dude came in here like arrogant.
Oh.
We're gonna talk a bunch of good stuff about IMGs, but one of the negative things they got against them, a lot of them, not most, not all, but he came in like, he basically at the end of the interview said, "Well, just tell me, like, I'll tell you when I make my decision and when I could start."
Oh.
And I was like looking at everyone else when he left. I was like, "Dang, he thinks we're actually."
we're gonna give it to
gonna
him.
hire him.
He's the main character.
Yeah, the main character energy.
It's funny because when he came to interview, it's not funny, but it's good. He came prepared. So he came with a binder of things that
Oh,
he
yeah.
can help.
Oh no, this other
you know,
dude didn't
like
come
a
prepared.
full-on presentation.
Ah, well,
everything.
you would have been
And
hired here
I
too.
know. I was like, wow, this guy is way more organized than I am. I thought I was kind of like, organized. But it was good. It was about how to help with patient recruitment, I think staffing.
Oh,
and it was like
well,
three
that's a
different
no-brainer.
topics. He's like, this is what I could bring and what I can do. And he didn't know much about our office other than I assume the website and what he read. And I was like, wow, this guy came really prepared, like
Let
to
me-
literally get hired.
Let me give you some background on that because I'm gonna look crazy. The reason I brought the binder is because I was thinking, first, I already know they don't need the position, so it's already not looking good for me. Two, my background, yes, clinical research, but I was doing cancer trials. Three, they do psych,
CNS.
which is
It's
pretty
a
much
brain, guys.
kind of far of what I was doing. So I already knew that it was going to be a little bit complicated to make them see like what I could do, because you can tell them, oh yes, I know how to do this and that, but what else? Like what sets you apart? So I was like, okay, I'm going to tell them like what are some of my ideas, some of my plans. So I put them in a binder and I said, there's two options. Option number one, I tell them they don't believe me and that's the end of the story. or I leave them something to review later on.
What was your plan? Like your best one?
My plan has been really straightforward with Judy and Dr. Ing. It's to develop the site to do like multi-specialty and also to do early phases at some point, early phase clinical research.
And that's what you guys are doing, starting to do.
Or
The-
not
the
early
first
phase
portion,
yet.
the first portion.
Yes.
And I told him like what I was doing was phase one, and it's hectic, it's fast paced, is it has challenges, and you don't have that much experience with that. I can help you with that, and that's what was one of the things that I was trying to bring on. But yes, there was a binder. Like
Yeah, there was, but
Wow,
you know,
so
when
you had a plan.
Yeah, he had a plan, but when he actually came to interview, we were at that point where we had been growing, and it was me, the other director, and then I had coordinators research, but I didn't have like a manager, and I had already been thinking like I need someone to like manage day-to-day oversight. But like we said, where am I going to find somebody with that experience in Imperial County? So he kind of came at the right time where I was already thinking I was going to have to get this position in place. And then he showed up, and so me and Dr. Moore were like, well, let's bring him on board, and
Wow.
let's see what he can do.
I didn't realize that until months later. Like, oh, they were already looking for a manager, but
But it
Like,
didn't,
I didn't
looking,
know.
But in my
in the
head,
interview,
it was,
Yes,
you,
yeah.
didn't
exactly,
tell him,
like-
you didn't tell him in the interview it's for a manager? You
No.
just said-
So it wasn't there. We didn't have anything open. We just interviewed him because I wanted to get to know him. He's like the only one in Pearl County with this background. So of course we have to meet and see. And depending what he was gonna, tell us, then maybe we.
But how long did it take to make him manager?
No, that was my starting
Yeah, it was
position.
starting. It was
Oh, you
starting.
started.
So he started
Yeah.
so he didn't start as a coordinator. He started as a manager.
Oh.
So first he came on board.
What did the other staff say about this?
Well, no.
Yeah.
That's a good question,
Yeah.
man.
Imagine
Well,
I hire someone
Imagine
tomorrow.
you hire me and I was like a manager
no,
position
no,
too.
pretend it's not you. What if I hire another Victor tomorrow and say, hey, this is your new boss, guys?
Well,
I will get along with him. I mean,
His face is
didn't-
already like, what?
I don't know if well, who knows if it came off like that, but he came with the proposal. He had come on board to implement and increase those areas, which was recruitment, staffing, and I forgot the other one. And that's
training,
Yeah,
like-
and that's what we came on board. So he started, and he's like, okay, I'm going to help improve these areas, right, or put things into place, and that's where we started. So it was kind of like phases, but it was
Wow.
also a revamp of a lot of process, procedures, things that we were doing one way. Maybe we had to change it a little bit more so we'd be more efficient, and so getting all the staff on board was, I don't
Wow.
want to say a challenge, it's just a process, right?
Yeah, no, it was a definite. And we were really straightforward with the team, and I was really straightforward with Dr. Ian and Judy. And I told them, this is a process. We're not going to get everything right on the first try. We're going to have to move things around until they fit, but they have to fit at some point. And to your question, like, how did they take it? I'm going to be very honest with you. They were not a fan of, all the changes.
I would imagine not.
Because one of the first things that I did was to sit down with them and talk to them like half a day. And I would just talk to them like for 4 hours and like, tell me what you do. Like, walk me through, because I didn't know about
But to get
psych.
to know them.
No,
to get
yeah,
to know
but
them.
But you did a one-on-one or with a
yes,
group?
no, one-on-one. Like,
One-on-one.
I like every single one, because not because I was gonna, okay, well, let's see if I'm gonna fire you or not. No. It was not like that. It was like, it was like,
That's hilarious.
it was like, I don't have the background in psych, and I need to understand, like, what's your perspective as a CRC, like, what's your perspective as an RA, because I can tell you what was my perspective on cancer. Like, I know, like, what we do every day, like, but I don't know how your typical day looks like. So how can I improve your day, or how can I improve your areas if I don't know them? So I made it like a commitment to, I'm going to sit down with every single person. My idea was to just do 2 hours, but I ended up doing like 4 on average. Some of them took
4
like,
hour with each one?
yeah. Some of them took even more.
Wow.
Because there were like these little processes here and there, and I don't get it. Like, walk me through that again. And we were like, in the whiteboard, like, this is what you do, but not this, but this.
Wow.
And then the second part of that was, okay, I think I kind of understand what's going on. Let me test them. So I did like a test.
Hey, you're just watching all this?
No, I wasn't part of it. So actually,
You were right.
he told me what he was going to do, and I said, that's great, you get to know them. I won't be part of it because this is his role. I'm going to let him do his thing and see how it goes, right?
They were really cool. They were really
yeah,
cool.
no, they
Not
were
bad.
really open to it. Maybe they didn't love it, but they were open to it.
Well, your
Uh,
team seems like I just met everyone at SOS. They all seem like pretty.
Yeah, and they're
happy
cool. They're all open to it. Of course, when you have a lot of changes at work, not everyone's going to love it, right? Because you're so used to doing things a certain way, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and changes things. It's like, but now, no, they're all on board.
And funny enough, with at the SOS at the after party, we were talking, and this came up actually, and they were like, no. I mean, it was nice. It was just like different. Like we were not expecting that. Like you just like someday they told us, oh, we're gonna hire this person, and then the next day, oh, he's meeting with you like for 4 hours,
Right.
and then the next day, okay, he's gonna quiz you now. So it was a lot of things going on.
Wow, 4 hours. That's pretty good.
But it helped me a lot. Like it helped me a lot to understand like where were we standing as a site. And then we did this test, and I saw like, okay, we need to improve this. And then we started doing trainings. Like let's walk through research 101, because the other thing is that they have different backgrounds.
Right.
We had someone that has like 17 years of experience, and then another one that has 10, and another one that has
a
like
few months or a year.
yeah, like a year and a half or something like that tops. And they have different backgrounds, like educational backgrounds. And it was like, how do I, cover all the gray areas that we're not covering? So those conversations helped me a lot to understand, because we always know that if you understand the CRC, you understand the site. So that was like my goal. Like if I understand it's the CRCs and the RAs, I may be able to contribute to trying to improve or trying to do something different.
Yeah, but also learn the strengths and weaknesses of the staff and see who's better at what. And we did make
Exactly.
shifts in roles or tasks, and then added, maybe delegated, instead of all the coordinators doing regulatory, now we have a compliance person. Instead of all the coordinators doing data entry, now we have someone assisting. So that took time, but that was the goal, to like, how can we improve what they're doing, but also delegate tasks to the people that are good at it or
And
could do it.
Trying not to force things. We were really open. Like, hey, we want you to do this. Can you? What do you think? Oh yes, I'll do it. 2 months down the road, oh, you're not liking it,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah, I'm not liking it. Okay, let's switch.
Right.
Let's do something else. And then we switch it until
And
it worked.
Judy let
Yeah.
you do whatever you want.
No. So no, not whatever. But he would always, like, we worked still together on this. So he'd come in like, this is what I want to do. I'm like, okay. And then we'd see if it worked or doesn't. Well, let's go back and revisit this. How could we improve it or change it so it works better for the staff?
Okay.
But no, all of this is like, I'm behind the scenes, like kind
Yeah.
of talking with him. Like, okay,
I'm
let's
kind
think
of
about
doing that
this.
with Katie.
Yeah.
Because she's the most senior one. They're all new, and Katie's like maybe close to 2 years.
Right.
So that's kind of what I
Yeah.
do with her.
And since he's a day-to-day person there, it just seems like, he should have this interaction relationship with the staff. Any questions go to him, and I'm more like oversight, I guess. But I still
Wow.
step in and help out with
And
a lot of things.
I do have to acknowledge that Dr. Ian and Judy were really, really cool about that. I just tell them like, this is what I'm looking at. Like, this is what I feel. This is what I would like to do. Like, what do you think?
What's Judy like to work for?
No, she's really cool. I really have to acknowledge that they were really open to that, and without that, it would be like much different outcome.
And how long
Uh,
have you been doing this now with Sun Valley?
I think that next week I'm gonna make it a year.
Yeah.
But now you're gonna be. Are you still gonna do this if you're mad? You can't.
We're having conversations
Right,
about
so
that.
that's what we're
There's
talking
options?
about.
There's
There's a potential option that possibly to replace him, because we realized
Because
like,
that's
having
hard. What
it
you're
is.
about to do.
Exactly, and
Thank you.
it's hard to not have that in place as well now that we got used to it for the past year,
Jeez,
right? So
yeah.
who do we get to
Do you have
replace
like a successor? Or
him? We're looking into that.
We have some
no sneak
ideas.
peeks?
Right.
No, we have some ideas, because also part of the first interview was, and I'm gonna be real honest with you, I may not be here in a year and a half if
Okay.
everything goes according
So
to
you
plan.
brought
Right.
it up
So we
and-
knew
yeah.
this was a possibility.
And very early on, we started talking. Okay, if I match, which I hope, what are the options? Like option A, option B, option C. So we have some options, not necessarily like different people, but ways to address this. And we're actually like right now exploring like what's the best option for us.
Do you think you would start a site if you ever become a MD here, or when you do? Would you start your own
Thank
site?
I want to be a PI, like for sure. I want to be a PI. I want to be part of that support to minorities, underinsured people. I've seen like the benefits of that, like how that makes an impact in people's life.
You think you would do like a private practice, like Dr. Ing, like something similar?
I mean, I'm open to like whether I work in a hospital or whether I work in a private practice, but regardless, I would like to dedicate like hours of my week to do clinical
Yeah.
research as a PI.
Do you think you're like entrepreneur, or are you still figuring it out?
I like projects. I do, but I'm also realistic in a way that I know that if I want to manage it all, it's too much.
Yeah.
So either I do medicine and PI, or I do management and business development.
Yeah.
So I need to, rely on someone, partner up with someone. And part of the vision or part of the project is like working with someone, like for example, Judy, and then maybe years down the road we can collaborate on something that will be nice.
One thing that you guys both have in common, you and Luis, is that we didn't need, I didn't need Luis exactly, but once I saw who he was, I'm like, oh no, yeah, we got to do what we can to make a room for him. And then seems like same thing with you. So what advice do you have? Well, you interviewed insanely well. You came with like a plan. But what advice do you have for other IMGs?
That's one of the advices to come with a plan when you interview.
Luis didn't come with a plan,
With
but
a
he's different
portfolio.
because he was not a research experience. Like he
Oh,
did
yeah.
bench research. So it wasn't like, hey, what's your plan? Like he didn't
Yeah.
come with a plan, but
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the thing that you were talking about, like also you have a clinical experience, like research experience, and everyone is like, also you have like GCP, YADA, and all those certifications, and that's a thing that I think myself, I was thinking about like, yeah, I have like clinical research experience, and my clinical research experience was in a laboratory working, helping all my teachers. And once that I get here, like you need to do all their certifications, and that's the clinical research experience, the true.
Right.
So yeah, I wasn't here like
from
prepared.
day one, we're still finding. Even today, we had to find one of his certificates that he did.
We already.
One of the monitors like upload this fire crest, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that was on my first week. It's somewhere in here."
I mean, I did it my
Yeah.
first week. There was a lot of certifications, but yeah, I mean, since I got like the text message of, "Hey, we saw your profile. You may be a good fit." I was
That
like,
was
okay.
Dora.
It was
Oh,
Dora
Dora.
at the end of the day.
Thanks, Dora.
And I was thought about it like, okay, how am I going to improve here in a clinical trial business as a biomedical or bioengineer? So that's the thing that I enjoy being here, and with Jaime and all the the YCT team that explain me what is the clinical trial is, what it's about. And so when the interview finished, it was like, okay, I started to search about it, and I get more interested, and I was like, okay, so yeah, my career, my bachelor's is related to it. So I started searching more, and then
We did 2 interviews.
2 interviews, and I was like,
They
oh my
had
God,
you come back?
what did I do wrong?
So we
Really?
do,
Oh,
like-
you got
What
a
did I do
second
wrong?
one.
Yeah.
The first one was with me and Dora and Jaime, right?
Dora,
Yeah.
Jaime, and
And me.
Katie.
Oh, and
Katie,
Katie.
too.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
the
wow.
second one, that went well, and then we had to see if the other team
Yeah,
also thought the same. So, Grecia and Lana.
that's cool.
So he had a second interview. In his first one, he was a little bit nervous, but I could see
always.
through that.
Yeah.
I could see through it because I've done a lot of interviews. So I'm like, there's a difference between nervous and just like not good.
Right.
I could tell.
Yeah.
So, but the second one, he was not nervous, and I saw more of like who he actually is.
Right.
And he's worked out really good, man. I gotta say, he's been.
I mean, I'm getting used to it. I love
Good
it.
job.
Like being in the practice in the field,
He
treating
did
with the
his,
patients.
screening. He does by himself now,
Wow,
and he's only been
really?
here like 2.5
Taking
months.
nice.
Today
Yeah.
he did one by
I don't know
himself.
why I feel like more confident being with the patient by myself now. That
Drew
okay,
his first blood recently.
Oh, wow. That's
I was
good.
like, yeah, I'm not feeling more comfortable. But yeah,
that's
treating with the
okay, you'll get
patient
used
and
to it.
explaining like the protocol, the medication, and all the roundouts that we're going to have. It's like when I feel more confident, and I'm starting to enjoy that,
That's good.
That's cool.
and also the ADC capture data too.
And
Nah.
Yeah, and the monitors get on you about that
Mhm.
too.
But I think what I'm hearing from both of you is that you guys were very motivated to learn what you needed to learn, even if you didn't know something at that time, so you can be, just feel more comfortable wherever it
It's
was.
that
And I think that
motivation.
motivation, you talk about it all
Yeah.
the time, doing that research, putting that extra work, and I think that's what's going to make you continue to make you guys successful.
Which no, thank you for that. Which reminds me of what you were telling us about the experience that you had with this person that came a little bit entitled.
I wish
know-
who was here. Katie was here. I wish she was here right now to give her opinion, she was like, "Oh no way."
Let me. I'm gonna take a wild guess. Wild guess. Did this physician practice for at least a couple years, or was
Yeah,
he?
still in
Oh.
Mexicali.
That's the thing. So part of, like, for example, you were asking like advice for IMGs. One of the advices would be, if you're straight out of med school, that's cool because the first experience that you get to have is learning about how it works, like what it is, like what's your role in the team, how you fit in that team. Some of the challenges that sometimes, not all of them, of course, some IMGs have is that they come from being the doctor. So they come from a different position and they're used to a
That
different
was
setting.
this dude. He's got a line across the street at Mexicali for him.
Oh, wow.
So he was like, "Just tell me when I start," and
Oh, wow.
like that.
And,
And
and,
Katie, after he left, was like, "Oh no."
and that's the thing that, I mean, if he's interviewing, like, I don't know, which, by the way, is not the vibe that you want to give to the person that
No.
you are.
Exactly.
But I can see that maybe that's the vibe that he wants to, project when he's going to apply to a hospital job or something.
Like
that-
confidence.
to be very
yeah.
confident. But you have to have context. Like, it's a different role. You're part of a team. You're not, at this point, the
Yes.
head of the team.
Clinical research is a team sport.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
what, in medicine, they tell us, like, you have to be part of the team. But the reality is that sometimes we get used to being just the one directing the team. And when you go into this industry, if you're going to start as a RA or as a study coordinator, you have to have the mindset of, will not be the person calling the shots at this time, maybe in the future, down the road, but not right now. And I have to let them know that I'm a team player.
Mhm.
So if one advice would be that, like, if you're a physician that already practice, just remember that it's a different setting. So contextualize, like, that's it.
And I have to say, he's going to make an excellent PI when he gets to that
Thank
point
you.
because he is a team player. He will answer questions that the coordinators have. He'll go through the criteria. He'll sit down any issues they have, queries, like especially the newer ones who are new to it, how to respond. I mean, anything and everything. His role, he'll step in and pretty much help them out in any way possible. And so I think that's important because once he becomes a PI, then you know all the struggles that the site experience. You're going to understand it better.
Thank
so
you.
that's going to make you even the best PIs probably that
Thank you.
exist.
Highly appreciate it.
One of the things that I'm assuming you didn't have issues with was because you already worked as a CRC was the visa. You didn't have issues with this, right?
No, so at this point, like right now, I am a permanent resident, so I have a
Okay.
green card.
Okay.
But I started as a TM visa. That's T as in taco, N as in nacho, TM visa. And that's a really straightforward process, like really simple process. But many people don't know about this because many people don't know about clinical research or job opportunities that they can have in the U.S.
So TN, Tom Nancy
Tom Nancy.
visa. Because I
Visa.
get this question maybe once a week.
And no, yeah, it's a T. Well, let me make a disclaimer. That visa is part of NAFTA, and that works like for Canada and Mexico. So that's
Oh,
like the
okay, okay.
easiest visa, like work visa that you can get if you're part of Mexico or Canada.
Is it for certain educational levels or it's for everyone?
There's a list that comes from many backgrounds. Like it can be marketing, dentist,
Okay.
like medicine, nursing. Like there's different careers, and then with those degrees, you can apply to certain positions. One of them, and I don't remember the wording, but I think it's a physician researcher, something like that. And that pretty much lets you work in clinical research.
So even as a CRC or whatever you
Yes,
want to be.
that's CRC,
Okay.
CRA.
But
the-
that's just for Canadian and Mexican.
Yes.
NAFTA.
Yes, and the only thing with this visa is that you need to have a sponsor, which doesn't translate to somebody has to pay for it, like, because it's self-paid. Like it's inexpensive. I don't remember. I think it was like 60, 100 something bucks. But you need to have someone that is offering you this job.
Mhm.
So you cannot just apply to the visa and then say, well, I'm gonna find like where do I work? Somebody has
So
to
you got to
petition
find the
that.
job first.
Right.
And
Yes.
then,
And get a letter, an actual letter on the letterhead from
I
the
see.
company that they sign.
so that means you get better impress people on the interviews.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Precisely.
Gotcha. But
Um,
like when you applied to Judy, you already had this taken care of. You
That was
This was no
yeah.
longer
No,
an issue.
yeah,
That was for Houston, right?
Yes, that was
Yeah,
my first
okay.
experience. Again, it's a really straightforward process. They're gonna write you a letter. Of course, they're gonna interview and everything. Once they decide, okay, we're gonna move forward with this person, they are gonna write you a letter that says, "Oh, Mr. So and So has this background. This is what we do in our practice. We believe he has the skills because of this and this and this.
Yeah.
He starts this day, and we're gonna give him a contract for a year, and this is what we're gonna pay him,
Okay.
and that's it. And the process takes a few months, maybe 6 months tops.
Because I get asked that question a lot. But back to the plan. So I think as we wrap up for not just IMG. I mean, anyone watching,
Yes.
whether
Anyone.
you have a bachelor, you know how many people come with a plan. And my interviews here is like nobody, 0. Even Luis, like Luis, I saw the potential. Katie, I saw the potential. Lana, for sure. Gracia, but like no one came with a plan. That's like a whole nother
That's a whole
level.
nother-
So if you put
Thank
your
you.
Everyone's website, look, Sun Valley Research, sunvalleyr.com. All right, if I'm applying there, I'm gonna look. Okay, they do Alzheimer's, schiz, depression. So now you have like, okay, let me look up like how to get these patients. You know, what's clinical trial? You come with like a recruitment plan.
Yeah,
Even if
there you
it
go.
doesn't work, like you're like, oh no, you're naive. Just the fact that you did it
Right.
puts you ahead of
Right. I think
100 others.
what can you do for that research center? So it might not be a plan per se, but like
Yeah.
what skills can you bring that can help that research center?
Just the
whether it's
fact that you
recruitment?
took the time to do that plan.
And,
Exactly, that makes a lot.
and at least know the industry, because I have had the experience of interviewing people, and
Yes.
one of the questions that I make, like just to understand like their background, is like, what do you know about clinical research? And blank,
Yeah.
like blank. And I'm not
Yes.
expecting like a very, complex answer. If they just tell me like it's a process to get medication approved, I'm happy
Right.
with that. Like, but they come to the interview without any
No
That
preparation.
idea.
that IMG I'm telling you about, I asked him that, and he said, nothing. I'd love to hear more from you.
Oh no, he should have done his research.
But like you would expect him to know
Right.
more.
He should have done.
Because that's the
yeah.
typical response. And then
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
doing interviews because you have to teach people.
Right.
You know, and so we take turns. Like, Katie, it's your turn on this person when they don't know what it's about. Rarely they'll know.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, I mean, if you're applying to a job in a very specific niche, like if you're applying to clinical research, just try to know like what clinical
A little
research
bit.
is,
That's
and
right.
Right.
That's right.
Do
Take
some
it from there.
research.
Next
Exactly.
person we interview, you're going to join and be
I
on
will
the
do.
other end. I think Luis going to be tough
Yeah.
interviewer.
I will not be tough. Come on. Probably I would be like the more empathy person. With the
Maybe,
people, like, oh,
maybe.
come on.
Prior to Victor, what I used to do, or maybe I've done it, is I know most of these people don't have research backgrounds. So when I schedule their interview, I'll send them links to Dan's YouTube and a few other places. Be like, hey, I know you probably don't know about research, but you might want to look into these links before you come in, just to get a little bit more familiar. And then if they come in and they're still not prepared, then that's already a red flag, because I
Ah.
gave them the resources to
You
look
gave
into.
the
it.
Yeah,
blueprint.
give you the sources to search about
Exactly.
it before the
and they still
interview.
didn't put the time in.
Nah, that's good. I don't do that. We'll just see what- But thank you. This is a good podcast. I think
thank you.
there's a lot more we can do for IMGs, not just from Mexico or Canada with the NAFTA thing, but all over the world. Like the more
Absolutely.
appetite of IMGs, they're starting to learn more about research, and I think like a lot of them see CRA, because like you would know the odds better than me, but the majority of IMGs don't ever become licensed in the U.S., right?
Yeah, I mean,
The majority.
and that's the thing. We were talking about that many people see like going to other countries like something unreachable, like something that it's not doable, that it's something just for people that are rich. And the thing is that it's probably just because nobody has mentored you, nobody has guided through you through that process, and that's I think one of the things that we need, because it's not only for
Are you going to start a
physicians.
podcast, the IMG Pod?
I don't think.
It's a good idea.
I don't
not a
think.
bad idea.
No, it's a good idea.
No pressure. No pressure, but you should do it.
Especially with residency, no big deal.
Yeah, sure.
He has all the time in the world.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like, talking about this because we were talking precisely about this before the podcast that not many people know about this. And we should be speaking more because there's opportunities. And it's sad when you see that there's people in, like, for example, in my country, in Mexico, that they have a lot of potential,
Oh my God,
But-
the most.
but they don't have the opportunities. And it starts with they don't know that an opportunity exists. So how do you train? How do you make networking from an industry that you don't know that exists? And this goes not only for physicians, it goes like for engineering. It also goes for nursing. I think nursing is going to be something that's going to be more popular in clinical research, like foreign nurses. I was talking to Jaime about that.
Foreigners, yeah.
I think that's going to be like, just like IMGs are becoming more the norm, like more popular. Nurses eventually will also be part of that.
There's a lady I interviewed that's a travel. She makes videos for nurses that want to immigrate.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
I'll
that's
give you
cool.
her YouTube.
Oh,
She's a
thank you.
really
Yes.
cool person.
please,
Yeah,
please.
so you're right about that because
Thank you.
they are looking more into the nursing now.
Yes, because I think that even when I started, there was some hesitation on, well, but what can these IMGs bring to the table? Like, what can they do? And I think that in the past 5 years, I've seen like they're more confident. Oh, yes, IMG, yes, sure. Like, so at some point, they're going to trust more like foreign people, and that open up opportunities for other fields like engineering, nursing,
No, engineering,
psychologists. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's plenty. We just have to, talk a little bit more about this and let them know that there's opportunities.
Put the information out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, everyone's LinkedIn's underneath this video and in the show notes. You have a LinkedIn?
Yeah. I mean, Dora sent me a message by Indeed, but yeah.
I didn't know you have a LinkedIn. Okay, everyone's LinkedIn's underneath. Don't try to contact Luis. He's not interested.
I already rejected an offer there.
You already
There you
rejected.
go.
Did you
Oh,
get
wow.
offer at SOS? Any of your
No.
What
staff?
did you?
Did they tell you?
No, they did not.
Well, go
tell me.
ask
No, I
them.
mean, I guess
Go
I
ask-
wouldn't be
Go
surprised,
ask-
right?
Now I feel bad.
ask
Like, no, but you got
But he
an
can't
offer?
take it because he's going
Yeah.
to residency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one.
All
from
four of them got an
Scottsdale
offer.
sometime.
But-
Really?
Yeah.
After
And I
our
was like,
Oh, I
breakout,
think
But it would have been nice to be offered, like to have an
so
offer.
you didn't get an offer for real?
No,
Wow.
no.
They're scared of the IMG.
I'm doing something wrong. I have to learn from Luis.
because they
Like,
know he's
I know.
leaving. They know he's leaving to residency.
I was eating a bagel there.
Yeah.
You brought like 10 people.
Yeah, we had like
Yeah.
nine, 10 with
Guaranteed.
you. Maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So we
3
had-
of them got an offer.
I don't know.
well,
You better go back and find out.
I'm gonna go back. Yes, now I'm concerned.
But most are from the community, and I
don't know.
I don't know.
Probably
Who
All
knows?
4 of
Judy.
them.
Yeah.
Probably
hit
Judy
up.
sent an email the night before. Please do not contact any of my
I
staff.
know.
Like,
We give them whistles. If someone approaches you, blow it. Stranger danger.
We'll save you. We'll save you.
Stranger danger. Well, thank you guys. It's really
you.
good. I think we need like more on this topic. You've
Yeah.
done LICR already?
Yeah, we did.
yes, I did. I
There was-
wonder.
I think I
last
remember you
year.
hosted one, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Precisely on IMG.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
And
how
there
I
was a
knew
lot.
you.
Actually, that one we did, there was a lot that attended.
That's how I knew you. I recognized your face at SOS, but like I couldn't put it from where. That makes more sense now. You were on that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
it is. Monica was there.
I wasn't there, but I
don't know if
uploaded
Ashley
it.
Was, but yeah,
So I watched it, and I'm the one who uploaded that.
Yeah, I think
LSU.
actually I think that you joined and just said like, "Hey, hi, I have to step out," and then you left,
Yeah.
and then you uploaded it
Yeah.
because I actually shared it, like reposted it from your account.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Sounds like me. Yes.
Sounds about right. But thank you so much, Victor.
Thank you for having us.
Judy,
Thank you.
Luis. Amazing. And, we're pretty, like, we actually, I think there's a whole nother podcast on sites that are close to each other to network. That a lot of sites are, like, afraid to
Yeah.
network. And I think we do the opposite. Maybe it's because we're business partners already, but
Yeah. I mean, it just makes us stronger. And,
yeah, I think so. Judy got us dry ice once.
Yeah, I
Did you
did.
know?
I brought it from San Diego.
Yuma was out
Because
everywhere.
I already had to bring some from my office.
We got
so.
our own machine now. We got our
Oh,
own maker.
you make your own?
Yeah, the machine's coming. I had to return one, but we have we can make our own too.
I'll make some
Cool.
questions after the podcast about that.
All right, all right. Like, subscribe, comment, share, everybody. Thank you. Go connect with everyone. Bye bye. Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.